If you've ever cooked a meal, you've been lied to. Not on purpose. These are just the things everyone repeats because everyone repeats them. Passed down from a cookbook, a parent, a telly chef in the 80s. But I've spent years on the other side of the pass, and most of what you've been taught about food is out of date, half true, or flat out wrong. So I'm going to walk you through 19 of them. None of this needs talent or money or a single new gadget. It just needs someone to finally tell you the truth. Let's start with the big one. Lie number 1. Searing seals in the juices. This is the most repeated cooking tip in the world. It's over a century old, and it was wrong then too. When you sear a piece of meat, you are not building a waterproof wall. You're triggering the Maillard reaction, browning, which creates hundreds of new flavor compounds and that deep, savory crust. Tests show a seared steak loses just as much moisture as one that isn't. So why do chefs sear everything? Because the crust is the flavor, and the brown sticky bits left in the pan are the base of every good sauce. We sear for taste, never to lock anything in. Number 2, while we're on steak. Your steak doesn't taste like a restaurant's because you're under-seasoning it by about 90% and you're scared of heat. Salt both sides heavily, far more than feels right, at least 40 minutes before cooking. That dry brine seasons deep and dries the surface so it actually sears instead of steaming. Then a screaming hot pan and rest it for as long as it cooked. Most home steaks fail on salt and heat, not skill. Number 3, you need to rest meat, and the way you do it is probably ruining it. Resting isn't optional. While it cooks, the juices are driven to the center, and resting lets them settle back through the whole piece. But people wrap it tight in foil, and that traps steam and turns your beautiful crust soggy. Rest it loosely, somewhere warm, uncovered. A steak wants 5 minutes, a roast wants 20. Number 4, you need an expensive knife block. You don't. The two most useful tools in a professional kitchen are cheap. A digital probe thermometer, so you never guess if chicken's done. You hold it at 70 degrees in the middle for 2 minutes, safe and still juicy, instead of blasting it to 75 and drying it out. And a thin fish spatula, which slides under delicate food without tearing it. A thermometer and a thin spatula will do more for your cooking than a wall of shiny steel ever will. Number 5, MSG is bad for you. The most feared ingredient in your cupboard is just glutamate, the same savory compound that's naturally in parmesan, in tomatoes, in mushrooms, in your own mother's cooking. The scare was never built on science. It came from one anxious letter in the 1960s and never recovered. It's the taste of savory in a jar. Chefs use it the way you use salt. Number 6, and this one matters for your health. Stop washing your raw chicken. Running it under the tap doesn't clean it. It sprays bacteria up to ½ meter onto your worktop, your taps, your tea towel. Water can't kill what's on raw chicken. Only heat can. Cook it through and it's gone. On the line, poultry goes from the bag to the board to the pan, and that board gets cleaned before it touches anything else. Pat it dry, don't wash it. That's the cooking sorted. Now let me take you through the doors marked staff only, because the restaurant itself is full of these too. Number 7, when a menu says fresh, that word means almost nothing. There's no legal definition for it. Fresh fish might have been frozen at sea and thawed that morning, which is often fresher than fish that was never frozen at all. Fresh bread can be baked from frozen dough. Homemade just means made on the premises. None of it is a scam. The lesson is simpler. Judge the food, not the adjective. Number 8, the cheap dishes are the bargain. They're the opposite. The cheapest dish to make is almost always the most expensive thing on the menu. Pasta, risotto, soup. The ingredients cost us pennies. A plate of pasta might cost the kitchen under £1 and sell for 14. That's not a rip-off, it pays the rent and the wages. But if you want to eat where the kitchen actually spends its money, order the fish, the steak, the things with real ingredient costs. Number 9, so you can order like you've worked there. Learn 4 words. Market price means it's expensive and they don't want it printed. Je is just a thin, intense gravy. Confit means cooked slow and gentle in fat, almost always delicious. And anything described as pan-fried is the chef quietly telling you it's been cooked properly to order. Read the menu and it tells you where the value is hiding. Number 10, restaurant vegetables are some kind of magic. They're salt and water. We boil green veg in water as salty as the sea, far more than you dare, for a short, hard boil, then plunge it straight into ice. That locks in the color and seasons it all the way through. At home, you simmer it gray. Salt the water like the ocean, cook it fast, shock it cold, finish with butter and a squeeze of acid. Number 11, the one you throw in the bin every time. After you cook meat in a pan, those brown sticky bits stuck to the bottom, that's fond and it's pure flavor. Here's the 5-minute sauce restaurants charge £4 for. Pour off the fat, put the pan back on the heat, splash in wine or stock, and scrape the fond loose as it bubbles. Reduce it by half, take it off the heat, and swirl in a knob of cold butter until it's glossy. A restaurant pan sauce from the bit you were about to wash away. Now the last act. Forget the recipes. These are the habits that actually separate a home cook from a chef. Number 12. You think you're bad at cooking. You're not. You just start before you're ready. Chefs live by one rule: mise en place, everything in its place. Before a single pan goes on the heat, it's all chopped, measured, lined up. Then cooking is just assembly. Do the boring part first. It feels slower, it's twice as fast, and a tenth as stressful. Number 13. The real difference between you and me. It isn't talent and it isn't equipment. It's that I taste constantly and I season in layers. A home cook seasons once at the end and hopes. A chef adds a little salt at every stage and tastes every single time. Seasoning isn't one big moment. It's 100 tiny corrections. Keep a spoon in your hand. Number 14. More food in the pan means dinner sooner. The opposite. Crowd the pan and the temperature crashes. The food releases water and it steams instead of browning. Pale, grey, sad. Give everything space. Cook in 2 batches if you have to. Space is colour and colour is flavour. Number 15. About your pans. People say chefs never use non-stick. We do, for exactly 2 things: eggs and delicate fish. Never for searing, never in a hot oven, because the heat wrecks the coating and kills the browning. And here's what nobody tells you. A non-stick pan is a consumable. Once it's scratched or food starts sticking, it's not seasoning in, it's worn out. Replace it. Number 16. Your garlic tastes bitter because you're burning it. Garlic dropped into cold oil over high heat scorches in seconds, and burnt garlic is acrid and sharp. Add it late, after the onions have softened, and give it under a minute. And how you cut it changes everything. Sliced is mild and mellow, crushed is stronger, grated or pressed is the most pungent of all. Same clove, 3 completely different flavors. Number 17. Restaurant chips beat yours because they're cooked twice. Once low and slow to cook the potato through and drive the moisture out. Then a rest, then a second plunge into screaming hot oil to blister the outside. 1 fry gives you soft or greasy. 2 gives you glass crisp outside and fluffy in. Use a floury potato and salt them the second they leave the oil while they're still glistening. Number 18. The most tender, expensive tasting steak in the butcher's counter is one of the cheapest things in it. Bavette, anglais, featherblade. The cuts chefs quietly take home. They're deep with flavor, they cost a fraction of a fillet, and they only ask one thing: cook them hot and fast, rest them, then slice thinly across the grain against those long fibers. Get that right, and a £4 cut will embarrass a £20 one. And number 19. The one everyone whispers about. What really happens after you complain about your food? Almost nothing. A complaint that reaches the kitchen usually just gets the dish remade properly and fast, because a recook is far cheaper than a bad review. Most chefs would genuinely rather you send something back than leave unhappy. The horror stories are rare, and they almost always come from being rude, not from complaining. I've remade a dish with a smile for the table that was kind about it, and I've watched the table that was cruel wait a very long time for a fresh plate. Be calm, be specific, be kind, and you'll eat better than anyone in the room. That's the truth nobody tells you. If even one of these surprised you, there's a lot more where it came from. A chef telling you what they don't. Follow, and I'll see you on the next one.